Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. And this video is to bring you a closer look at the Kaba Ilco number 861C-2060. This is an aluminum collar in a satin chrome type finish. So this is a cylinder collar is what it is. This is meant to go under the head of typically a mortise cylinder, but it can be a rim cylinder as well. For whatever reason you might need to build out a rim cylinder, you could use this cylinder ring for doing so. The 861 is a series of cylinder collars from Kaba Ilco, and the letter designates the type. In this case, the C is telling us that it is a straight collar that has a thickness of 3/32 of an inch. So the 861 is a cylinder collar, the C is straight and 3/32 of an inch. The 26D tells us that it is in a satin chrome finish. The -10 means that when they're bought from the factory, they're sold in bags of 10. That's the only way that Kaba will sell them direct to their distributors. We'll then order bags of 10 and then sell them in any quantity necessary. Now, the fact that it's made of aluminum and it's satin chrome is just going to be something that will be complementary to satin chrome. It's obviously not true satin chrome in the sense that, I guess, what's true satin chrome? You know, what's the base material that it's made of, and what finish are you able to achieve on it? If you're doing satin chrome, and this would be the one to do. It's you see so little of the collar that it would be all but impossible to really detect that the finish isn't brass made in a satin chrome plating. So 3/32, that should be 0.96, I think. The caliper says 0.095. Oh, no, the caliper's off. Tiny amount. Yeah, 0.094 is what my caliper is telling me. So it's, 3/32 of an inch. The outside diameter, just for the sake of giving that information, 1.4. 1.4 on the nose. The inside dimension, 1.174. 1.174. Okay. Now, a proper use for this is when you have a cylinder that you're installing down onto a door, and the cylinder is just ever so slightly longer than what would actually be ideal. It would also be appropriate to consider a cylinder collar typical material when you're doing something. You generally do not see a cylinder threaded down far enough so that it makes contact with the face of the door, or I should say the underside of the head. So cylinder collars are always used, and a size like this is really when the shortest cylinder you can get your hands on is 1 inch, but your application really calls for something about 7/8. So you'll see these thin collars used in those installations. You simply may not be able to get a cylinder short enough for your application. I'm doing a job right now where we are installing cam locks into within a steel tube, and that steel tube has an outside dimension of thickness of 1 inch. So the ID is going to be closer to about 90 thousandths. Well, there's not really a cam lock that's going to fit in there, a really short cam lock that's going to fit in there. So what we're doing is going with a longer cam lock, the shortest we can get our hands on. It might be about 1 inch, and we're simply building it off with a cylinder collar so that, we'll be able to utilize the format of the keying structure that we need in the cam lock, a small format removable core. But because the hardware is limited to a certain minimum length, we've got to build the cam lock out off the face of the door, so that we can get the workings of the cam lock within the hollow steel tube that we're installing it into. So the proper installation of this would be one that it would spin on the door, loose so that it'll turn, not loose so that it'll rattle, but loose so that it'll turn, because the outside dimension of the trim of the cylinder collar should be ever so slightly greater than the head of the cylinder, or right thereabouts. The point being is if someone tried to get their pipe wrench onto the head of the cylinder and then spin it to rotate it off, the idea is that the pipe wrench will be grabbing this cylinder collar, and then that will be the item that will be rotating. So when you're installing these, be mindful of the fact that they're also meant as an vandalism, anti-theft sort of measure as well, and that's inherent in the design of this. Available in all of the common finishes that can be done. There is a horizontal link above this video that will give you horizontally a category structure. Well, if you click one step above where you are, you'll have different options, and you can see that one of those steps would be to define the thickness and then the color. So you can define that. I think Kaba Ilco goes from everything from 3/32 might be their thinnest, or thereabouts, all the way up to about 5/8, usually in 16th or 32nd of an inch increments. You can certainly stack these together, should that be something that you would need to do to come up with a really specific thickness. There is a link below this video to a document called Technical Drawing. That's more of an internal document from Kaba Ilco that just lists all of their cylinder collars and gives the dimension A, the outside dimension, etc. Also shows detail how the ends are chamfered. It's difficult to see on this ring on the camera, but the inside is chamfered, the outside is chamfered, which means it has a like a beveled off edge. It has a chamfer to it. You just break the edge at generally about a 45-degree angle. Actually, it is called out 45-degree. Finally, there is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Kaba Ilco products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog where you can review all things Kaba Ilco related. That catalog manufacturer's page in our site is going to have the Kaba Ilco key blank catalog. It'll have their brass cylinder catalog and other encyclopedic documents that pertain to Kaba Ilco. That area is the repository of where we place things. Older catalogs, key machine documentation as well. They are very much a name in the forefront of key duplicating machines as well. Any questions on the Kaba Ilco 861C in a 2060 finish or any other Kaba Ilco product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.